Social media is actually super easy. Over the past 3 years, I've been working with some of the biggest creators in the game. And when I'm talking about big creators, I'm talking about well over 1 million followers, generating over 200 million views a month. And some of the systems and the automations that we're running are super sophisticated. And if I was to show you, well, it would honestly blow your mind. You'd be like, how does it do all of that without you even looking at it? And I'm going to show you these automations in another video, but this video is going to be mainly focused on, number one, is my experience in social media. Number two, why social media is super easy and how it's super easy. And number three, some tips and tricks for you to make it super easy and get similar results to what I'm currently getting. My whole thesis on social media is that I create cultivated audiences that actually give a shit about the content you post, because we see so many influencers online who have like 1 million plus followers, but the audience just doesn't care about the content they post. They don't interact, they don't engage, they're just there to view. And that is not what we want. That is the opposite of what we want. We want audiences that actually give a shit about the creator, actually have a vested interest in their lives, in their business, in anything that they do. And number three, actually engage with their content. They don't just drop fire emojis. And when you cultivate an audience to the level that I cultivate them, you end up turning the social media or the personal brand into revenue engines. And I've been able to do this with over 10 clients in less than 90 days. So one of the most famous people that I've worked with is a guy called Sam Zia. And when we started, he had 200,000 followers. And these 200,000 followers were all in the self-improvement, but more specifically, the looks maxing niche. And the issue with that niche is that the people who you attract with that type of content don't really care about the person who's behind the camera. They care about the tips he's giving them and like how they can look better themselves. I mean, it's in the name, looks maxing. And the only couple routes you have of monetizing that audience is either you sell a product to that audience, which usually doesn't have a good reception, or you sell a low ticket mentorship to a school program where you're charging maybe $20 to $30 a month for group calls with you, or you're like giving them general basic advice that you already really cover in your videos. And if you just think about it, $20 times 1,000, that's when you hit 20K. But 20 times 1,000 members, a lot of these audiences don't actually care enough to join your school community or join whatever product you have to offer. So getting 1,000 people is a lot harder than it sounds when I just speak it out and I'm just giving you the numbers. Bearing all this in mind, approximately 180 days later, Sam and I were able to reach 605,000 followers. And those 400,000 followers that we gained are now super locked into Sam Zia. They're super locked into what he has to say, and they actually care about his life, they actually care about his routine, they care about his journey, and they care about the things he has to say, which then takes you to the next step. Because they care so much about him due to the strategies I've implemented and due to the way we approach content, they are now able to be monetized, meaning we are able to actually provide products and services that they're actually interested in and would pay top dollar for. And we're talking 4 figures, 5 figures. I mean, just with Sam, some of the craziest months we've achieved over like 50 million accounts reached. We've got like 200 million views per month, and we're just getting crazy metrics. And getting all these views and all these vanity numbers is useless unless you point them somewhere. So phase 2 of the strategy is to now use the following that we've built, use the views that we garner every single video, and now turn this into a profitable personal brand. But this isn't just the only brand that I've done this with. I've also done it with one of my own Faceless TikTok pages called the Emerald Universe. There was a ton of pages with like the Emerald in the username, and they were called like the Emerald Stories, Keys to the Matrix, Emerald Archives, Esoteric Emerald, and Emerald Secrets. And in total, we gained over 750,000 followers. On one of the accounts in a singular year, we were able to gen over 52 million. And if any of you are thinking, wait, those results don't sound as good as the last results, yeah, but these were being directly implemented into the CPB, Creativity Program Beta. So I was one of the first people that got offered to be monetized by TikTok. So for every 1,000 views that I got, I was paid roughly $1 all the way up until 1.4. So some of you can run the numbers, but it was extremely profitable. And running Faceless pages was one of my very first gigs. For me to learn social media and how the algorithm worked, I needed to get my skin in the game. I needed to understand how to make videos, how to tweak the algorithm to work in your favor, how to pick apart every single aspect of the video so it works in your favor. And just to give you a couple of examples, it'd be like spiking retention at certain points, constantly changing the visual or auditory elements every 3 to 5 seconds. All these things added to an extremely high retention rate where a lot of my videos were being watched more than once. So now you're probably wondering like, okay, so you were making all this money with the Emerald Universe, the TikTok Faceless pages. Why did you then move into client work where you're actually working with influencers? And it's because when you're using TikTok pages, and especially Faceless, your own face is not out there. Your name isn't out there. So people were aware that these accounts were #1 in this space. No one knew it was me, and like, that's kind of shit. Whereas I wanted to be known as the guy who is able to get these results for other people, and I want to be known as the person who you go to get these results. So that's why I then use my TikTok Faceless pages as a case study / testimonial to then approach influencers like Sam Zia and pitch them my services and and say, I can replicate similar success with you in less than 90 days. And since then I've worked with over 20 clients and we've gained very, very similar results. I mean, just with the Trading Geek, we went from 84.8 thousand followers to 130,000 followers. And this bearing in mind, when the client came to me, he was stuck under 85,000 for the longest time ever. It was just close to a year he was stuck under it. And within 30 days, we were able to get him above that 100K. So enough about my portfolio and my credibility, because as you can see, it's quite vast. I get the results, I get the money, I know what I'm doing. It's now to get into how you can do this yourself and all the tips and tricks that you need to know that they kind of gatekeep from you. So number one is that the one thing that they gatekeep from you is that they say you should be posting quality over quantity. And I agree to a certain extent, but I think that you should be posting quality quantity, which means you are constantly posting volume every single day that meets a certain standard, and you're constantly iterating on what could be improved to up that quality. But what I don't like seeing in the space is people saying, oh no, I can't post this video because it's not good enough. What are people gonna think? Or like they just overcompensate on the quality and then they end up lacking in the quantity aspect, so they never get the real-time feedback that they actually need. When I started Emerald Universe, I was posting 4 to 5 videos a day on one account, and I had 5. So I was posting close to 25 videos a day, trying to understand which videos pop and why. I was literally looking at everything, being super technical, super into the analytics, marking out each point on that analytic view retention graph and going, why did people drop off here? And is there anything I can do to remedy this? So one of the main things you can see is that in your retention graph, if you see that a ton of people are dropping off at the 5-second mark, or your average watch time is at that 5-second mark, use that as a indicator that something is going wrong, either leading up to that point or at that point in particular. So some of the remedies you can do is you could change the auditory or visual elements like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, or you could just tweak the script delivery. You could tweak certain things the way they are said, make it more punchier, make it more driving, evoke emotion. One mental model I use whenever I create content or I'm even looking at social media is that you want to put yourself in the shoes of the viewer and think about what are they going to think or feel when they watch your video, because the videos that garner the most emotions are the ones that generate millions and millions of views. And if you're using TikTok, well, if you're in the CPB, you're going to generate thousands and thousands of dollars. But that is how you get views. One of the main metrics we focus on is the followers gained. And what we do is we make sure that we're constantly tracking the videos for how many followers that video gained. So if a video reached 1 million views but only gained 10 followers, that means there was something either in the video that wasn't driving enough for them to go and seek more, or they clicked on your profile and they were just super confused on what the account was all about. Like, it was super random, super theme pagey. They didn't really understand, like, should they follow, should they not follow? Nothing was clear, precise. There was no concise message delivery, which is often done through your profile picture, your name, your bio, just the way the visual of the page looks. And if you dial all those things in, you can often convert a lot more followers than you think. And number 2, we don't just compare the followers gained with the views, we also compare it with the comments and the shares, because we want videos that are getting a high follower gain but then also getting high comments and engagement, because then that means that the audience that is converting from the comments and the shares into followers are actually a cultivated audience, meaning that they actually liked your video so much, it invoked an emotion, or it gave them so much value that they now feel the need to comment on it, share it with other people, which again is a secret because the more shares you get, the more people are watching your video, therefore the views go up. But the more people that are commenting and sharing and then converting to followers means that these are going to be followers that you can cultivate and nurture, so that in 6 months time or even 90 days time, they will eventually be able to buy from you and they will stick around for longer, generating this snowball effect on your account. And one of the key differentiators to the way I approach social media is I don't necessarily look at trends and I don't necessarily look for views. Like, that is one of the metrics that I kind of don't focus on. The main thing I'm focusing on is my creator or is my influencer or is my app telling a story? Are they storytelling? Are they adding enough personal touch? Because we've all seen the trend recently of the black bar content with POV this, POV that, and what you'll notice is that those videos get tons and tons of views, but they don't really convert as well. And when they do convert, they're not interested in what the creator actually has to say, they're interested in the way the video makes them feel, which makes them feel better about their life, or it makes them inspired to achieve that lifestyle. But it's not because of the creator, it's because of the things that they're showcasing. It's because of the things that the creator has rather than the creator is, which is a big red flag. So one of the main ways I avoid this is that I make sure that one of the content pillars with my creators is their personal touch, is their personal story. I send out a type form to all my creators, all my influencers, and I tell them, please be as detailed as possible and answer these 30 questions, which gives me an insight into your personal story, your personal life, and it literally fast tracks me into being one of their best friends, because I now know everything about them. And when you know everything about a creator or an influencer, you are now able to create a strategy that is personalized to them, which will bring the best results. There is no cookie cutter strategy, that it just doesn't work that way. And for those of people that are promising you a cookie cutter strategy, I would steer well away from them. So once I know their story, I make sure that one of the content pillars is the personal story, and I'll start creating videos and giving video ideas and consulting on ways that we can portray this across to the audience to build a connection, to build that parasocial relationship, which is super, super important. An example I'll give you is that I will tell my creators that once a week we want to be posting something about our own experiences, our own personal life, and our personal story. An example with Sam is I want him to talk about his parents, I want him to talk about how he even got into social media, how did he even become an influencer, and how has he got all these businesses, because those are the types of things that brings the viewer closer into the circle of the Sam Zia empire. So once you've nailed the quantity and quality aspect of your content, you're looking at things objectively, you're not being super opinionated or biased, you're looking through the metrics, all the retention graphs, all the average watch times, how many people, like what percentages of people who made it past the first 3 seconds. Once you've done all that and you're now getting really good at it, I want you to then focus on the personal story pillar. And then once you've done that, I also want you to ask yourself one question. Are you doing cool shit? Do you have expertise in a certain area? Are you an expert in any area, and are you good at something, or are you trying to build something that people will be interested in watching you build? Like, one of the main things that I say to all my creators and influencers is that if you don't do any cool shit and like you don't really build anything, you don't do anything, you don't have an edge over your competitors, it's going to be super, super difficult for you to build a personal brand, because people are coming there to either gain value, gain some sort of feel good emotion, or number 3, just because they like watching your lifestyle. Like, they want to see the Lamborghinis, they want to see you living this crazy, crazy life. Like right now I'm in Brickell in a Miami high-rise, and it's like people enjoy watching this content, but I pair it with all these other things that I mentioned in this video to build that holistic personal brand, which is super important. And here are some of the tools and the tips that I will use to help myself do this for creators, and these are the same things that you can implement for yourself for your own personal brand. Number 1, I use schedule. I make sure that I'm able to be on every single platform with at least effort as possible. So I use tools like NA10, I use a lot of automation so that once I post on Instagram, it also posts on Snapchat, it posts on Shorts, it posts on TikTok, and it just reduces that cognitive load in my head. I just know that when I post, it's everywhere. I'm getting the max exposure possible. I've now got multiple different algorithms working on my content so that when I analyze the algorithm's feedback, I'm getting 5-6 different feedbacks, which then leads to a better result because you're working 6x quicker. Number 2, I make sure I know what my competitors are doing. So I will look in my niche and I'll go, what content are my competitors creating this week, over the past 6 weeks, over the past 6 months? I don't really go over 90 days, but sometimes I will expand that window just to make sure I'm getting the best, well-rounded sample set. And I'll look at their content and go, which ones are performing really, really well? Which ones are outliers? Which ones are performing more than their median views? And that is how you dial in on what content your niche wants to see, and then you take the concepts, you take whatever they've done, and you make it 2 to 3 ways better. That can be done through the sound, that can be done through your own personal touch, that can be done through the editing. There are multiple different ways on how you can make it better. And it's a strategy I use called golden wheel strategy. You're not reinventing the wheel, you're just making it better. Like, if you were on the side of the road and you were broken down and you didn't have a wheel and someone came along and offered you a wooden wheel, you would take it. But then if someone came along and offered you a golden wheel, you would take that 10x over the wooden wheel, which is the exact same concept you want to use in social media. That the wooden wheels are out there, people are viewing the content already, they need it, they want it. But now you have to bring the golden wheel to the market so that people are more likely to view your stuff than other people's stuff. And the third one I use is that I'm thinking, when I'm making content, what curiosity gaps is it filling? Can this video be simply solved with a simple Google search? Because if it can, that means it's a shit video. Like, no one's really going to be interested. Your hook has to be able to, like I said, hook people in to being curious in what you have to deliver to them, or what the video is going to be about. That cannot be solved with a simple Google search. And number 4, I just make sure that I'm constantly improving either the editing or the delivery. I'm constantly looking at myself objectively, and I constantly look at the views that did the best, are outliers on my account, and I iterate heavily on it. Sometimes I'll even post trial reads of content that's already gone well in the past with a few tweaks, like the golden wheel tweaks, just to validate, does the algorithm like this better than the others, and then I'll share it to everyone. And there's a million more things that I do on a day-to-day basis to help my clients and myself reach millions and millions of views, millions and millions of followers, and obviously generate well over 50k a month. If any of you guys want help with any of this, you want help scaling your personal brand, you want to turn your personal brand into cultivated audiences that turn into revenue engines, send me a DM with the word cultivate, or just check the link in the bio and it'll take you straight to my website where you can sign up for a one-to-one discovery session with me to see if I can even help you, because I only take on people who are well-driven, who want to succeed, and are actually wanting to do this for the right reasons, because morals is everything to me. And because a lot of this is just one-to-one, I don't have all the time in the world. I really wish I did. I really wish I could take on 50 people, but I can't. I've already got 3 people on board, so I'm only going to be taking another 2 to 3 people. Get booked in quick, and I hope to see you on a call so we can actually help you build a personal brand that cultivates an audience to build a revenue engine that works in your favor. Appreciate it, boys.